Hello, Darlene. Welcome to the Confidence Mastery Podcast. Thank you for joining us. I'm very, very, very excited to be speaking with you today.
Thank you so much for having me, Natalie.
Thank you. I love the way you say my name.
Am I pronouncing it
Yeah,
incorrectly?
absolutely, absolutely right. But
Oh, okay.
in an American accent, I just love the way it sounds.
It's a Jersey accent too, so you have the best of both worlds. It's not just it's not just the US, it's Jersey. So
You do have a great accent. But thank you very much for joining us. I'm just going to hand over to you and just ask you to introduce yourself a little bit to our listeners. And then we're going to really dig in. I'm really excited for this episode. So
yeah, so I'm Darleen Priday. I am the founder of DP Consults, which is a company that specifically works with smaller entrepreneurs as well as consultants who are really stuck. They built a great business, they have an amazing offering, but they do not have the confidence or the processes in place to be able to sell their services. So I come in on a consultant basis and give them all the tools needed to equip them to continue to grow.
what got you into this?
I've been in sales for most of my life. I say over 25 years. It's a lot over 25 years.
You don't look old enough.
Thank you. But so I've always been in sales and I've always done it intuitively with the type of selling that I've done, regardless of what industry or anything like that. In the past several years, I have worked as a director of business development for a virtual assistant company. And my main target is entrepreneurs, business coaches, small businesses. And when I was consulting with them, that's the type of approach I take for virtual assistants. I kept seeing over and over again this same need where they really just couldn't get over themselves to be able to put their best foot forward and get the right clients in. So I simultaneously started DP Consults as a passion project to be able to serve amazing clients, equip them, and be their cheerleader.
I love it. It's a different world, I think, when you do it from a different perspective. Like there can be really horrible, pushy, desperate sales, but I think from what I know of you, you take a very different view, and like you use the word empathetically, well, selling with empathy. When I was reading into you, um, could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. So, the word empathetic sales, it's almost like an oxymoron, right? For most people, they think sales, you have to be aggressive and pushy. And there's a lot of coaches and books written and different things like that saying, you have to create a pain point, you have to create fear and all of those different things. That never resonated with me. I don't like to be sold that way. And I don't care if somebody has something that I desperately need. If they come across that way, that's the last thing that I want. So what I do is I really take a consultation type of approach where I'm going to listen to what that person needs, actively hear them, and really make a difference in their life, whether or not they buy from me or refer somebody to me or just walk away with more information.
Mm-hmm.
So that takes the pressure off of them. It takes the pressure off of me. I meet them where they are. And my goal is to give them the best solution for them, regardless of what that looks like.
I love that. I'm very similar. I'm not a pushy salesperson at all. Like I'll have a conversation with somebody to see if it's right for them. And then like if it is, great. If it's not, then maybe I know somebody that is better suited and a better fit. So I think when you do take that pressure off, you're able to create a better like relationship with that person whilst you're talking to them too. Would you agree?
Absolutely, because then you have to build that relationship, and the first piece is trust. So
Mm-hmm.
when people put their guard down and know that you're not just looking to convince them. Now, I will say I do have clients that I have to push a little bit because they need the service. They're going to get a great benefit from the service, but they just have a lot of fear. But that's where you have to really have those conversations and build the trust. This way you can speak into that and say, you know what? I know this is going to be the right solution for you. you are in your own way because of X, Y, and Z, and have those courageous conversations to be candid with them.
Where do you find the confidence to be that, not direct, I suppose that's the wrong word, but to be able to have that conversation to say, I know this is what you need. I know you're going to get this benefit. What are you, why are you getting in your own way?
So I think, first and foremost, you have to know the service that you're offering. You have to know the value. And I think I've heard you speak about this, about knowing your worth and how to really project that. So I think when you know that you really have a good solution for someone, then all you're doing is sharing it, right? You don't have to sell it in the, regular sense of selling. You could just share what you do. And if you're passionate about it, that comes across. So if I know I have something that's really going to help someone, I'm really passionate about helping people.
Yeah.
Or again, if it's not the right solution, I have a huge network of incredible people that I can pass them off to. So I think it's just a matter of knowing your worth and really knowing that you're entering it with the intent of giving the best solution to that person.
Mm-hmm.
And that comes across authentic and also relational as opposed to pushy.
Yeah. There's a big thing like in Britain, people can be quite prudish. And like there's a big thing like anti-sales, and they don't want to be seen as the pushy salesperson. And I think that's why people back away and then lack confidence, one in selling themselves, but two in what other people are selling. Because then they think, or sometimes they think or feel that what the person is selling may not necessarily be coming from a place of service, but from a place of give me your money.
Yes.
How do we break down those walls for people to understand that it is actually, when you find the right people anyway, it is of a benefit.
Yeah, so you mentioned this before we started recording about, people in England, being hesitant and
Mm-hmm.
being prudish and that type of thing. And I think, while it is a different culture in America, we still shy away from, nobody wants to be looked at as that salesperson on one hand, but on the other hand, the whole sales industry is saying like close, close, close. I could sell ice to Eskimos and different things like that, which is just so counterproductive. So I think it's a matter of really, looking at it through a different lens and removing, especially for consultants, remove that word sales out of it. I call them discovery calls because that's exactly what it is. I'm discovering about you. You're discovering about what I have to offer. And let's just have a conversation. People, when you take your guard down and not put the pressure on yourself to say this is a sales call, and you just authentically start sharing about why you created, entrepreneurs are the most passionate people, right? If they just authentically share, not everybody, it's not the same script. It's really just sharing the why. Why did you start this business? Who are you helping? Those things are going to resonate with somebody to see themselves in those clients. Share client success stories. Share failures too, how you've really changed your offerings to really work with the people that you have seen the need and why you created the niche and everything like that. So I think it's just a more of switching, flipping the switch in your head to say this isn't sales, this is a conversation, it's a discovery call.
We have discovery calls too, and I think they're a very powerful tool because it is just you getting to know the other person. And what tips could you give to people for well, having the confidence to start the discovery call process? Because I know that a lot of people they even worry about that.
Yeah, I would say know your product, know your service inside and out, know the high level. A lot of people get stuck in the minutia and they go too deep too quickly without really just painting that broad stroke. Practice, have those calls with different friends and have them, the more you say it, the more comfortable you get with it.
Mm-hmm.
So while it may seem hokey to role play or, to have a friend listen, it becomes more natural. The more you
Yeah.
say it, the more natural it becomes. And then you'll start seeing where it feels more comfortable. Or you can get feedback and have friends that are going to give you honest feedback and
Yeah.
not just say you sound great, right? And say, you know what, that didn't make sense, or that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Also, having somebody on the outside listen to those calls are important, because of the fact that sometimes within industries, you have your own acronyms, vernaculars, different things like that, that make complete sense to you. You start sharing with somebody that knows nothing about your world, and they're lost, and they may be intimidated to ask you what that even means. And now there's a disconnect right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
So making it not so high level where somebody can't connect with you, and not having it where it's a script where you have it memorized and you're just waiting to get your answer, your
Get your words
answer
out. Yeah.
up there without listening to what somebody's saying.
Yeah.
I would also say I do Zoom calls. I think Zoom calls are powerful. I mean, obviously, if it's in person, that's something else. But in our world, everything is Zoom right now.
Yeah.
Seeing somebody's mannerisms, seeing their expressions, when you're losing someone. When they start to have that fear where they tighten up. They can see you. I do believe that people can sense when you're genuine, when you're making eye contact and really connecting with them. So that's another tip that I think is so important. There's a time and a place where you may have to get on a call for a follow-up, or just give them
Yeah.
a phone call or an email. But that initial personal connection, there's nothing better.
Yeah, I totally agree. As I said to you earlier, we had a lunch today for one of our memberships, and that was one of the things that was said. It was great, like Zoom's great, but then when you meet in person, it's a totally different thing. And I think that's a different realm in terms of sales. And like you say, our world is very much on Zoom, um, which I think is fantastic because it allows you to do so many things and speak to people and help people all over the world. And I think that the more confidence we can have in putting ourselves and our faces on camera, and even watching those calls back, calling them, asking the other person, do you mind if I record this for myself?
Yeah.
Or for you, tell them it's for them.
Yeah.
So you can watch it back and get that feedback for yourself as well.
Yes. So I 100% agree with that, although I never watch myself, because as confident as I am with everything, I would overanalyze it. And I think it would inhibit me in future sales calls or
Really?
podcasts or anything like that. I just don't watch them. But I've heard from so many people that that is the way to get better. I just don't personally do it.
Fair enough. I make my mastermind people watch their stuff back.
Yeah.
And like, because honestly, that really is the best way you can look at, if you're wanting to be on video, do public speaking, especially that side of it. I think you must. And like I say, excuse me, like you say about getting that feedback, but from other people that
Yes.
aren't your ideal clients. And we'll come back to ideal clients in just a moment because that's an important subject.
Mhm.
And that's actually given me an idea for my mastermind tomorrow. So thank you. Everybody's going to be like, "Oh no, Natalie, don't."
I know. Just blame me.
Oh, I will.
Well, I think too, another good tip is to do your homework. Know who you're speaking to, do your research. Don't just get on a call and have your script in your mind and really customize it to who to who you're talking to. Go on their LinkedIn, go on their website, do your due diligence. This way, there's a lot, about me page is great, right? And when people know you took that extra step to see that they had a dog or they like to hike or whatever it may be, it makes them think you care, and you do, right? Like you're really being intentional about having that conversation, and it's not just a one size fits all.
Oh, definitely. I love that tip because you should not go in blind.
No, no. Know your stuff enough that if you had to go in blind, you can, but it's not a good practice.
Right,
And
definitely
if I
not.
do have to go in blind, sometimes it's last minute scheduling or something like that. I'm upfront, like, hey, Natalie, you know what? I didn't even have a chance to look at your website. I'm so sorry, but I'm glad we hopped on the call.
Yeah,
So don't act like you know everything if you didn't do your due diligence.
yeah. That's a really great point, actually. Don't lie about it because
Yeah.
people will then tell that a mile off, won't they?
Yes. Yeah. And then you're getting off without building that trust.
Yeah, and that's one of the most important things is trust in any relationship. Just to, it cements everything. I really like that tip. Thank you. So talk to us about, because I wanted to cover this because this is really important. The ideal client. Now, I know a lot of people don't like to niche down because they think that, well, yes, we can help everybody, but we can't help everybody. So
Yeah.
what are your tips on helping people to get over that fear of they'll be missing people? Because that's the thing that I always get people come back to me with, like, oh, but people, I'll miss people.
Yeah. So, yes, you probably will miss people, but those people are probably not your best clients. And if you're bringing in wrong clients, you have to look at, a lot of times sales are looked at as the front end of it, right? You have to look at the end result. How is that person going to be served? Are they going to be happy with the service? You're not just churning people just to get somebody in the door. Now, there's companies out there that do that, but if you genuinely care and you really have a good service to offer, bringing in the right person that you can help well is going to be wonderful, because all you need is one. Now, everybody has bad clients or something that didn't work out, and you have to make that right. And that's a whole nother discussion. But if you're consistently bringing in the wrong people and just churning through, those people are not going to be recommending you. In fact, if your name or service is brought up, they're going to be like, oh, I had a bad experience or it didn't work. But if you bring in the right clients, when they're served well, those are like your most loyal evangelists out there. They just sing your praises. They want to help. I mean, at Peachtree VA, where I'm the director of business development, most of my clients are referrals. And I have people that were not the right fit for Peachtree, but because I had that really honest conversation and gave them support elsewhere, they are sending clients my way because they're like, okay, it's not right for me, but I know somebody who it's right for. So I think fear has a lot to do with that big net, right? I don't want to miss out on anything, but really, like you said, niching down is so much more powerful, and it's bringing in the right people, and you're having the right conversations, and you're building a solid business versus just in and out.
Hmm. I would agree with that. I like what you said there as well about um, if they've said it's not right for me, but they've referred other people to you. And earlier you also said that you might know somebody else that it's a good fit for. Funnily enough, I had a conversation with somebody else today about they were talking about the podcast, and in his industry there's a lot of like cattiness and competition, and he feels like if he was to interview people he would be basically interviewing his competitors. So he was like, how do I get over that in my head?
Mm-hmm.
I had a little coaching session with him about it, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
I think like probably earlier in my career, I might have been more insecure about quote unquote competition,
Mm,
right? And but with time and age, I realized like when you look at quote unquote competition as people that you can collaborate with,
mhm,
it is game changing. So, a lot of times, especially with coaches, right? There's a million out there. So you can't, if you looked at everyone as competition versus collaboration, you would just be on the defensive all the time.
Mm.
I've learned so much from other people that are in in similar spaces as me, and we all do things a little bit differently. So again, if I'm not the right person, what better thing than to say, here's a couple of resources that you may want to check out. With the virtual assistant world, there's a million virtual assistant companies out there. And I could say, you know what, like sometimes price is a factor. Instead of saying like, oh no, you're gonna fail if you don't get this, service,
Yeah.
you can say, you know what, like, I know you're not ready now, but here's some solid ones. They're not everything, they don't do everything that we do, but it might be a good solid start for you today. So reaching out to those people and seeing what does a good referral look like, what makes your service different than mine, what are good networking events or different things like that you can kind of be on the same side. There's enough business out there.
That's a good point, actually. There is enough business out there for everybody. And just seeing everybody as competition is always just going to hold you back. And
Yeah.
like, we as entrepreneurs and business people, like we want to move forward.
Yes. And I think when
Otherwise,
you operate with a generous mindset
yeah,
versus scarcity, it is game changing. And I've seen, people that are in, like, even clients that I've referred to my competition for one reason or another, if they weren't a good fit, or prospects, not clients. And it's almost like they're like, wait, what? And again, that's your credibility. And it's not fake and it's not phony. It's authentic. You're really trying to help those people.
yeah,
And if there's nuances of somebody else that's going to be a better fit, that is where it makes the most sense to refer them.
yeah. Because we obviously all want the best clients for ourselves, and
Yes.
also for other people to have the best clients for them. And
Yes.
I'm very precious about who comes into our mastermind group because of the community, and what we've cultivated there is beautiful, and people are comfortable and they become friends, and they, even clients of each other's, they work together and they support each other. So if you have one bad egg,
Yeah.
so you have to make sure that they are the right fit. And if they're not, I'm happy to recommend another place, because it doesn't mean I want that other person to, not succeed. It's
Correct.
just you're not a right fit for this.
Yes.
Um, so I guess that would be having the confidence to say no
Yeah.
as well.
Yes. 100%. I think it's a matter of staying true to back to the client who's going to make the most sense for you, knowing who you can serve best. And
Yeah.
also timing is everything. So with my consulting business, I handpick one or two clients a month to work with. That's it, because I do have a full-time job with Peachtree VA.
Mhm.
So like I said, that's a passion project of mine. I handpick people. So sometimes it's a really good fit. And I'm so tempted to say, oh yes, I have to just say, you know what? I can't work with you until April.
Mhm.
If you can't wait that long, let me get you in touch with someone else who could possibly help you. Because I don't want to be like, oh, you have to wait 3 months to work with me, but there's no one else out there that can help you. That's really not the truth, right?
Mhm.
Maybe a little bit different. At least you're giving them options to say, okay, if they talk to them and they're like, no, I'd rather wait, fantastic.
Yeah.
But, and also not overcommitting, because as entrepreneurs, we like to overcommit, right? Um,
But then you
that's
don't provide a good enough service.
yeah, you want to make sure it's great to get people in the door, but you want to make sure the other half of it, where they're being serviced, where they're being nurtured, where they're being, maintained as a client, is matching your sales effort. And There's times when you need to put the brakes on and not
Yeah.
bring as many new clients. And there's times when you want to be more active. So knowing that balance and really keeping up with the client experience from the second you speak to them to the second they leave your services is
Yeah.
super important.
Yeah. Would you say that there's a need for some balance with personal versus business?
Oh goodness. I'm probably not the best at doing this.
Yeah.
Did your light fall?
Yeah. Oh, we love a bit of improv.
Yes. I would say like, so there are so many people out there preaching work-life balance and different things like that,
Mhm.
which I do agree with, but I think for me, it's work-life integration.
Yeah.
And if I don't check my email, I don't just turn off my phone and I don't check it because I have clients that need something or whatever. It gives me more peace of mind to be present if I check it quick and know, okay, there's no fires to be put out and different
Yeah.
things like that. So I think it's just a matter of really finding that right rhythm for you
Yeah.
and making sure that you do set aside time to be unplugged. And if that means just a couple of hours, that's fine. It doesn't have, there's no rhyme, it doesn't have to be a certain amount of time. There's no, everybody's like, oh, you have to take a 2-week vacation, just completely unplug, recharge. There's time management and there's energy management. For me,
Mm.
when I talk to a client and I know I'm helping them, and I could do that all day long, right? That just fuels me. And I know it's probably the same for
Yeah.
you. So that's so gratifying. And to me, when I have those conversations, I'm a better human in my personal life, right?
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. And especially when you see them having success and you've overcome a problem together, that to me just it fills me with joy. So then I'm like, oh, why not like just
Yes, exactly. Like I say, I also love the underdog stories. I love seeing someone that I know I can help
Mm,
and then getting that success. There is nothing more rewarding than really helping someone and just giving them a helping hand and seeing them overcome those challenges.
yeah, I'd agree with that. Um, I'm gonna ask a couple of personal questions if that's okay.
Sure.
um, because part of your story and what's going on in your life resonated with me a lot because I've had like similar. Obviously you've got a business to run and you've had a poor experience with your husband's health. How's
Yes.
it been like for you having to deal with that and still run your business?
Yeah. So, just so the listeners know, in 2021, we were actually in the midst of selling our home in Georgia and moving to Florida. And my husband went into the hospital with chest pains and needed a triple bypass. When he was under anesthesia, he had several strokes. So, I was still in the midst of selling the house. I couldn't get out of it. I had to back out of the house in Florida, throw everything into storage and rent an apartment. I brought him home and it hit him cognitively. So my husband was an accountant and a day trader.
Mm,
And when he came home from the hospital, he would not even know how to alphabetize apple, banana, carrot. Like
wow.
it was horrible. So I was at a different company. I took FMLA, put everything to a screeching halt, and I was determined to help him get better.
Yeah.
And thank God, I always say, like, I am a woman of faith. So between prayer and a morbid sense of humor, we got through it, right? You have to have a sense of humor. It's just imperative. So back to that work-life balance, there couldn't be work-life balance. I
Yeah.
had to put everything to a screeching halt and just take care of him. So for 3 months, that's what I did. And then I went back to work and still cared for him. Thank God today he is so much better. He's not 100%. He's still struggling with his speech and some cognitive issues and different things like that, but it's much different. So I it's such a a long story, but I was also, when I decided that it was a good move to go down to Florida, I was told I could resign from my other company because I was moving out of Georgia,
Yeah,
which was devastating at the time. But again, after, when you almost lose someone, you have to put the priorities in, and
yeah,
just take the next right step. Thankfully, Peachtree BA was looking for business development at the time. All the stars aligned. I was in the process of starting my own business. I had to put that on hold. And I really, I had everything ready to go and I just couldn't do it. So fast forward, now things have settled down, and now I really want to, that's why I started back up with the consulting and different things like that. So it has been quite the journey. And
yeah,
I will say that you have to just give yourself grace, because you can't do it all. And there's going to be, everybody has challenges. And I think perspective
hmm,
is a lot of it, right? So we are blessed every single day that he is here. So the other stuff you can let go of. And I'm like type A personality and all of that type of stuff. And I had to let go of so much and change my expectations. But also it was very important not to feel sorry for myself and to just take the next right step. I didn't know what that was going to look like, but I just kept taking the next right step.
yeah. I mean, such a powerful story. You had to go through so much there. My nan had a stroke, and it's hard to have, to watch and to be, and then see them struggle. So I'm really glad that your husband's been able to come through to almost the other side.
Yeah,
And things are so much better for you. It gives you and shows you that there is still light in the world.
there is. And I will say this because I think this is very powerful. When we first went to the neurologist, and he was like, this is it. Like, I don't think he's going to get any better. And at that point, he was horrible. So what I would say is, I was encouraged, if anybody needs to hear this, do not go with your gut. Do not accept what one doctor says. And, I joked with my husband, we're married over 31 years. I was like, it's finally paying off that you married a crazy Italian, because I'm not going to take no for an answer. I'm going to keep pushing. So we found the right doctors. I'm like the queen of holistic research and everything like that, and gave him tons of supplements. And we actually have a hyperbaric oxygen chamber, like
Wow.
the works. And so while people say, oh, whatever you're going to recover with a stroke is going to be in the first year, he is almost 2 years out. And every day I see improvements. So don't let somebody put limitations on your
Yeah.
healing, on nobody has the final say but God of what's going to happen.
Yeah. It's incredible what can be achieved with the right mindset as well, isn't it? You've gone, I'm not accepting that. So I'm going to find a new solution. And that's very powerful and says a lot about you as an individual, but also your relationship with your husband,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is nice.
I call him my Frankenstein, because now I get to, I get to experiment with him all the time. And he would never take any of my supplements or anything like that. But now he doesn't have a choice. So, and like I said, we have a lot of fun doing. It's crazy, but some of the worst times we look back and you just have to laugh, because you're like, what on earth? What on earth happened?
I think you never appreciate it at the time, but all of the shit stuff makes you like stronger and more appreciative later on. But obviously in the moment, you're like, what on earth's happening?
Yes, exactly. But you're absolutely right. Looking back, you can say, if I can go through that, and I think part of, owning a business and different things like, putting yourself out there, who cares, right? It's
Mhm.
just business. You're dealing with other humans. And if they're judging you so harshly, they're not your right client. They're not the right people you need to connect with. Shake it off, move it on, and you're going to find the right people
Yeah.
to in your network.
because the people that are in your network make a massive difference, don't they?
Yes, yes, for sure.
So I've always said, not probably always, when I was a child, I probably said many things about people.
Yeah.
But if you've got radiators and drains, the people that warm you up and light you up and lift and inspire you, and then the people that just take away. So
Yes.
if you can find the radiators and get rid of the drains, although actually, well, we probably need them
Well, we
to some
do
extent.
because there's something to be learned from every
Yeah.
interaction, right? Even those people that are negative, even those drains, I love that analogy. You can still learn about it. And, also, how you don't want to be,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And even through this whole journey with my husband, the people that showed up just blew my mind of people I might not even been close to, just went above and beyond. And
That's nice.
it's really touching, but then those tiny little things made such a difference. How much of a difference can we make in other people's lives just by taking a minute and being intentional? You never know what somebody's going through. You
Mm-hmm.
never know how they're struggling, or life is just hard. Even if you're not going through a major life trauma, life just
Mm-hmm.
is hard.
Yeah,
So you could, plant that seed, like you said, be a radiator, even if you're not getting it from them, you just never know.
that's very true. So you clearly have a very strong mindset yourself.
Yes.
Which what has it taken to cultivate this for yourself?
Well, I will say part of it is age, right? So part of it is age because you get to a point where you're like, F it, I don't care. I'm old. What do I have to care about? So, there's something freeing about letting go of other people's expectations. And I wish I can say I do it right all the time. I don't. I'm my own worst critic and I'm really hard on myself, harder than I am on other people. But I will say that I have a reset. Just because you feel that way doesn't mean you have to keep operating that way. And even if you have to reset every day and say, this is how I'm going to, I'm going to operate, giving myself grace and do the best I can and let go of the rest. If it has to be 10 times a day, just do it. Don't get caught in the trap that just because what you were like at 25, 35, that you have to continue. I'm learning stuff every day. And a lot of times I'm learning stuff from people a lot younger than me.
Mhm.
And I love it.
I love that too. And I'm definitely not the person I was 10 years ago. And I'm glad of that. But I'm glad of the experiences that I've had to bring me up to this point. And I believe that, being open to learning and being around people, we can learn something from every interaction.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's good or bad. We've spoken about the good things that people should do in terms of, talking to their ideal clients, seeing selling as not selling so much, having a conversation. I love that. What should people not do?
I I think, I think we touched upon it. If you're casting
Mm,
that net and trying to be everything for everybody,
mm,
that is going to be result in failure, especially, not staying true to who you are or what you think, taking everybody's advice. Now, I'm in a mastermind. I value the people that I'm in the mastermind with. I know you have masterminds and they are so important.
mhm,
But also, if it doesn't resonate with you, it could be working for someone else and be fantastic. If it doesn't resonate with you, it might not be for you.
mhm.
There's not one. If it was an easy, simple 1, 2, 3 step to follow, that would be easy. But everybody has an opinion. So listen to others, listen to people who are wise. Like you said, stay around the radiators or and stay away from the drains, but don't try to morph into the expectations of others, because even if you're successful doing it, you're not going to be happy.
That's a very good point. And we teach health, wealth, and happiness. And you'll know this yourself. Like life's too short to be miserable.
Mhm.
What do you do for fun?
Yeah, so we like to explore. We just moved down to Florida last year, and we like to explore. There's a lot of beautiful natural springs and nature parks and different things like that we like to do. Our daughter is grown. She lives about a half an hour away. So we get to see her. She's engaged. So we're wedding planning, and she has a rescue pup that we babysit for. And so, just a lot of family things, simple things, but we went to a concert, an outdoor concert that was a Billy Joel Elton John cover band, and last week. And when I was sitting there with my husband, like, I was overwhelmed with gratitude, because really a year before we could not have done that. I wouldn't even thought about doing that. So again, it brings that perspective of just enjoying the little things.
I totally agree. And having that, that gratitude, even if it's being grateful that the sun's out one day, or
Yes.
actually, if it's raining, the plants need watering. So there's a positive to find in everything. But I'm really glad that you've been able to have those happy memories and, you know, family time. And congratulations for your daughter getting married. That's
Thank
nice.
you. Thank you. It's, yes, all things that I feel very blessed with.
Yeah. So if you could give people one top tip for their self-confidence, what would it be?
I would say, back to know your worth, share your story. That's more than one tip, but know
You
your
can
worth,
have more than one.
know your worth, share your story authentically, and don't be result oriented. Just share, and whatever the outcome is, it's going to be the right outcome.
I love that. I've been talking a lot about that recently, as well, because if it's meant to be, it will be. And if you try to force something, then it's just not the right fit. It's like trying to put the wrong puzzle piece in the jigsaw, and it just doesn't work. So
Yes.
if you can take that step back and look at the whole picture, you'll see where it goes.
Yes.
That's a new one from me.
Yeah, yes, you're right. It's that perspective, right? Taking that step back.
Mm.
Also, I just want to say too, put systems in place to follow up, because I am not this person who just has an easy conversation and like drifts away, right?
Yeah,
Have your systems in place so you can be intentional, follow up, because what's not right for somebody today may be right for them 6 months from now. You do want to stay in forefront, not to be a bother or pest. And that, I think, again, back to coaches, they feel like they're interfering, or, well, they said no, but it might be a not now.
hmm,
So every time you have a touch point, give them something of value, give them a tip, give them something to keep you in the forefront. Again, whether it's a referral or whether it is something in the future, don't just have that one conversation. And if they say no, let it go.
yeah,
Because I just literally had somebody call me that I spoke to 3 years ago. And she was like, all right, Darleen, I'm ready to go. I'm like, I'm in a new company. And she's like, I don't care. She just wanted to buy from me.
yeah.
She knew she
Amazing.
could trust me. And this just happened last week, and it was out of the blue, and she just still had my number. So make sure you just keep in contact and have those follow-ups.
That's a really, really good point, because like you say, that it's not a no, it's a not right now often.
Yes.
What ways would you recommend that people have these systems in place? Because we all know what entrepreneurs are like.
Yeah. So, that's part of my coaching, is I kind of look at like what makes sense. It's individual for everyone,
Mm.
but if you have some kind of CRM, or, even if you have a spreadsheet, I don't care what it is, because just depending on where you are or what you're selling or whatever, but have intentional marks, like when you speak to somebody, if what is your follow-up, have your materials ready. That there's different buyers out there. Some people can verbally process it with you and they'll be ready to go. Others need to read your material and really look through things. So have the materials ready to send them. And then if you do get a no, kind of find out why. Like, is it something, maybe Q2 will touch base, and then have a touch point, put it in your calendar, I talk to so many people. Thankfully, I have a CRM that I use, but I talk to so many people. So even if I speak to you in 2 months, I've spoken to so many people, I may not remember to follow up with you.
Yeah.
So, and if then they're like, you know what, I'm not ready now, I'll put them in just a nurturing campaign where maybe once every 6 weeks, they'll get an email from me with, again, some kind of value, a tip, a trick, whatever it may be.
Mm.
And being first and foremost in their mind.
Yeah.
If they're having a life event or something like that, and they're like, hey, I can't, I'm having a baby next month and I can't even think about getting, into your program, well, make that note. And then this way, in a few months, hope everything's going well with the baby, because it shows that you are intentional and that you
Yeah.
care.
Yeah. And that you've listened to them.
Yes.
Like,
Yes. Nobody likes just a straight canned email all the time.
yeah, it does make a difference. And people like to know that you care and that you've remembered. It makes them feel special. People want to feel special, don't they?
Yes. Yes. In a world of technology and automation, relationships are so craved that people caring and going just slightly above and beyond makes such an impact on people.
Hmm. Oh, huge, huge difference. I'm like that with birthdays. So I need to know when all of my clients' birthdays are, because without that, it's your day of birth. Without that day, you wouldn't be here. And I think they're special and important. So I always make a bit of a fuss for people's birthdays,
I love
for
that. I love
example.
that. I'm the meme queen. So I send some of my clients or prospects, like if I connect with them, I send them funny memes. I think they're hysterical
Yeah, I
and
love that.
it just lightens it up a little bit.
Yeah, we in my Facebook group, we have what we call Shit Joke Friday, where it's basically a free for all, post all the memes you've got in your phone.
Oh my, yeah, I would probably take up a lot. That is my love language, memes and sarcasm. And those are my love languages.
Amazing. You said you're from New Jersey. What's it like in New Jersey?
Yeah, so I was in Bergen County, which is right over from New York City. So it was like it's a suburb, we lived in the suburbs, and I was from a small town, and it, half the people were my cousins, the other half were friends, right? So, and it was Lodi. So my husband jokes that it stood for Land of Dumb Italians. And but so I grew up there and I went to college in New York. I was actually in the fashion industry for many years.
Amazing.
Um, and we lived there until after 9/11 happened. We just decided, our daughter was small, she was 2 years. We just decided we wanted a different, like lower key
Yeah,
lifestyle. That's why we moved to Georgia. We had friends there, and we moved down there and raised our daughter. So but
I love that.
it's unique, right? Like it was a big culture shock going from New Jersey to Georgia, because Georgia is a much slower pace. I don't know if you know anyone from the South of, in the United States, but it's a much slower pace.
Yeah.
They're more relaxed, nobody curses and,
That's
like,
one thing I struggle with.
yeah, well, me too. I'm being good because we're being recorded. But like, bless her heart, so it was a little bit different because, like, at least in New Jersey, though, like, if somebody doesn't like you, you know it. Like,
Yeah, that's a fair point.
so it, which, is good and bad, but like in the South, I felt like I couldn't wrap my head around, like, why are they being so nice? Why am I getting this weird vibe from them? And but but I've met some of my best friends there, and it was wonderful.
Yeah.
And now we're in Florida making new friends and new adventures here in the past year.
I love that you're doing that. Like I love to travel. I moved to Mallorca in 2011, And that again, that was a culture shock. And then in 2020, I thought, because obviously the world had gone crazy,
Yeah.
and I didn't agree with some things. I thought I'll go to Barbados.
Yeah.
Oh, and island time there is even worse than island time in Mallorca. In Mallorca, it's mañana, mañana, mañana.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you try that in Barbados, like it's
Yeah.
unbelievable. I'm just like, I'm from London. You can order something from Amazon and it can arrive the next day or the same day. You're
Yeah.
waiting like 4 weeks in Barbados.
Yes, it's definitely, and I'm sure like people looking at you, people looking at me when I first moved to Georgia, they're like, what on earth? And my husband always says, like, because I'm so loud, right? Like people, she's like, somebody be like, why are you mad? And I'm like, I'm not mad. I'm just
I'm just loud.
I'm just loud. Like I went to go visit my brother and he's even louder than me. And we were in his kitchen and we were chatting. And when I came outside, my sister-in-law said, what happened? What are you guys fighting about? And I was like, we weren't fighting.
Italian, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know what? And also, again, getting older, you embrace it is what it is. Like, you embrace, yes, I may not be everybody's cup of tea, but I don't care. Um, but I do have such a beautiful spectrum of friends and connections. And I really appreciate people that are much different than I am, and I can learn a lot from them.
Yeah, I think like we're be a student, a forever student. We can learn from people that are older, younger, wiser, not so wise. There's a lot to be learned from everyone. I love that you've got that network of people and different support networks. So what's next for you?
Yeah, so I am just gonna, I'm keeping growing the consulting business. Like I said, I'm being strategic about the growth. I want to make sure that because I love working at Peachtree VA. I love my day job but I like to scratch that entrepreneurial itch too with working one-on-one with those clients
Yeah,
and different things like that. So I'm going to continue on putting myself out there with podcasts. Thank you for graciously having me on.
pleasure.
So yeah, so I've been doing a lot of podcasts lately and just it's not really my comfort zone, but I'm just
You're a natural.
thank you. You're so kind. But so that was one of my goals is to really, and that's another thing I would like to say, like just push yourself out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
People sometimes hear a podcast I'm on or see an interview and they're like, just like you said, you're a natural, and they don't realize like I was absolutely paralyzed from doing them for the longest time until I just did it.
Yeah.
And I think we cap ourselves by putting our own limitations. And then you could say, like, okay, like if I suck, so she won't air it, whatever.
If it was really that bad, then no. But this has been a really lovely conversation. So thank you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. I love everything you had to say. And like I said, I listened quite a few of your podcasts, which were very inspiring. So you're amazing as well. Thank you.
Thank you. If you could leave people with some words of wisdom, like a one or two liner, what would that be? Put you on the spot there.
Yeah. Yeah. I would
Pushing you
say
out your comfort zone.
out of my comfort zone. Let me see what I can make up. I would say just never settle for anything. Life is too short. Keep charging on. Define your own success. Success doesn't have to be money. Success doesn't have to be a title or position. Do what you love and just, it'll make a space for you, right? If you do what you're passionate about, everybody has their own unique talents, giftings, abilities. When those all intersect and you're able to do that, there's nothing better.
Oh, I love that. Amazing. I think that's a beautiful note to end on. I could probably talk to you for hours. So
Yes, same. Well, thank you so much for having me.
You've been amazing, Darlene. Thank you very much. Thank you for everybody for listening. Make sure you listen, subscribe, download. And where can we find you, Darlene, other than in our show notes?
Sure. So LinkedIn is a great way to connect with me, Darleen Priday, and also peachtreeva.com. If you go on there and you can hop on, get a consultation with me, even if, for a VA, or even if you want some delegation tips, or you're an entrepreneur that needs some encouragement, I'm a good cheerleader.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And I think actually that's a really good point. We're searching for a new VA at the moment. I may need your help.
Yes, we would love to.
Awesome. Well, on that note, thank you very much. Make sure you connect with Darlene, listen, subscribe, download, all of that jazz. Thank you for being a subscriber, a listener. Thank you, Darlene. Bye.
Bye.